What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Monday Halls Live. Man, we've got some great stuff to unbox, to showcase for you real quick. I'm back with the ever-present, almost omnipotent MT with his encyclopedic knowledge of all things comic books at all precious metals classifications. So, hey, a couple quick things before we get going and dig into it. Welcome to Carl's Collects Comics. That's right. This is our little corner of the comic book community. We're all about celebrating the hobby and having a good time with talking about comics that we enjoy, building up our collections, ways that we can do that, and just making the comic book community a better and more positive place. We have, like we said, Monday Halls Live is every Monday at 10 p.m. Central. This is our unboxing series. It's regular and weekly, and we go through all the cool books that we have found over the past week. And I've got quite a stack here, both from an Instagram claim sale and from our local comic shop that had a 50% off sale this past weekend. In addition, the giveaway show every Wednesday. This is our chance to promote generosity in the comic book community. You can join myself, Paul Comics, Mr. Collector, sometimes Teresa Newell, and then our newest Weapon X. We will be hanging out and talking, and you'll get to see on the channel the subjects for this one. One of the big pieces of news that we're going to tackle on Wednesday is these rumors, these rumblings that we're hearing that Marvel/Disney is negotiating to try to get the complete and full rights for Namor and the Hulk back into their stable. But we'll talk more about that on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Central on the giveaway show. This Friday, I'm going to be hitting you up with another top 10 list. These are some of my favorite videos to produce because it's my chance to share with you books that I think are really cool and that would make a good addition to your collection. Booster Gold is one that's been on a couple of months ago. Then we also had The Punisher, who is one of my favorite characters of the 90s. That's right. I'm a huge fan of what Carl Potts did with the character in Punisher War Journal and that original ongoing run. I'm not as big a fan of the recent stuff and even the Garth Ennis stuff. But yeah, plenty of classic books that you can pick up there. Also, if you haven't checked it out yet, I just did a creator interview a couple weeks ago with David Pepos, who's just wrapping up his run on Savage Avengers Volume 2. He also has some creator-owned titles like The OZ, Going to the Chapel, Spencer and Locke, and my favorite, Scout's Honor. Upcoming books that he's worked on is Hulk Annual #1, the May issue of Venom, and then he's also going to be a part of Darth Vader Black, White, and Red. So you can hear more about his stuff that he's got coming up in that interview. Go check it out under the creator interviews section on the homepage of the YouTube channel. Well, hey, everybody, what's up? We are here and excited to be here with you. And let's do some shout outs in the chat real quick. Then I'm going to bring MT on and we're going to get this thing rolling. But we are glad that you're here tonight with us. Make sure and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to be approaching our next big giveaway. I had it scheduled for $1,500, but I don't know. I might go ahead and do one at $1,250 just because there's so many people that have decided to jump on board and hang out with us on a regular weekly basis. So let's take a look at the at the chat and see who we've got here. All right, so Brooklyn Born first in. He says, "Hey, Carlson crew." Jonathan Dotson says, "Hey, everyone. Good to see you, Jonathan. Glad that you're here with us tonight." Brooklyn Born, there you are as well. Valerie Henderson, what's up? Hello to you as well. Let's see. I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. This is my favorite part of the day on Mondays, to be able to come in and hang out, show off some of the books, have some good conversation, and see what kind of stuff MT has been picking up. What's up, El Green? There's El Green Machine. Southern Comic Geek is dropping some wisdom there. Hashtag Paul's fault. That's right. Paul was in the background in the green room, keeping everybody entertained and keeping us from going live. Tony Stank, what's up? Good to see you. El Green, yes. Tonight it is me and MT. And then I think, Michael Presos is joining us as well. So let's see. I don't like comics says I'm not here. LOL. All right. El Green says, MT, did you ever get those Green Lanterns? All right. He's asking about that. Let's see. Juan Villegas, good to see you. What's up to you? Glad that you're here. I don't like comics says, if Canadians here, I'm living in Quebec. LOL. Hey, from Canada. Yep, that's right. You're right up there by MT, probably in the same province. Bottom Tier Collector says, hello. It's good to see you as well. Mary Jimenez, what's up? It's good to see you. Card Shop Reality, what's up? Card Shop Reality gets the award this week for best comic auction promo. Hilarious stuff. If y'all aren't following him on Instagram, make sure you do so because he's got some good stuff. Bottom Tier Collector says, I love getting off work at 10 and winding down with Carlos, Paul, and MT. Hey, we love winding down with you because just like you, most of us are doing work right up until this. And so this is just a great time to decompress and hang out and just enjoy some good comic book discussion. Well, so hey, there's three of us tonight. We're going to try to keep this to an hour. We're at 10:19 Central. We're 8 minutes 40 seconds into the stream. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on MT and let him say hello, and then we'll bring on Michael in just a moment as well. All right, so MT.
Good to see everybody. Miss Mary, thanks for being here. Card Shop, my good buddy. Thank you for checking out the show. Bottom Tier Collector. That's a great name. That's a great name. You got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. El Green, Tony Stank, thanks for being here. Valerie Henderson, I'm not familiar with you, but I do appreciate you being here with us. Anyways, I got some stuff. Normal, it was about an average delivery day. I got about 50 some books here, and I tried to cherry pick some of the better stuff to share with you. So I've got some interesting books, some big books, and some average collector books, but I got a couple of really big keys and one very, very unique one to show you tonight. So it should be a good show.
Very cool. Nice. Let's keep moving on to Mr. Michael Presas. Michael Presas.
Hey, glad to be here. Another Monday hauls. I got a ton of books over the weekend, and I got some deliveries that came in Friday and today. I'm not going to get through. Well, sounds like we're not going to get through them all.
Nope. We never do.
No. All right, take it away so we can get through something.
Awesome. Hey, so I'm going to bring it back over here real quick, and let's take a look at some of the books I got. So my local comic shop had a 50% off sale this weekend. I fortunately was able to beat Paul to a couple of the stores, but then I realized that Mr. Collector had already been there and had taken, most of the stuff. I still found a couple of cool things though. All right, first up, Showcase number 90.
Sorry, it's a new person I've never seen on the chat.
Oh, Valerie Henderson.
Yeah.
I think Valerie is connected to Serge Henderson, and Serge has popped in with us before. Either way, it is good to see y'all with us tonight. Okay, so Showcase number 99. This is the third part of the first solo story for Power Girl. And this was a very high grade copy, at least an 8, probably a 9.0 or better. They had it as an 8.5, but I couldn't pass it up because I had one, but it was a little bit more mid grade, so I decided to pick that up. Hey, if you didn't know yet, we've got a brand new hot comic convention coming up here in the greater Houston area. You can do mail-in books if you hit up at Pressed Niche Worldwide on Instagram. You can also find out more information about it. It's pwrshows.com. Some of you have already started to use the discount code that I'm offering. I'm going to tell you about this a little bit later on at the midpoint, but I just want to make sure to mention it here. If you go to pwrshows.com and you use the discount code Carlos Collects Comics, you will get 10% off your ticket. no matter which pass you buy, you get 10% off. But on top of that, you will also get a special prize from me to you just for using that discount code. And it is pretty cool. The only other way to get them is to buy them. There's going to be a short run of them. I'm not doing a ton of them. And I will just, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to give away what it is, but it's going to be pretty cool. So you want to get that free little gimme along with your 10% off. So make sure you check that out. So one of the guests that's going to be here is Roy Thomas. Roy is the heir apparent to Stan Lee for the Marvel throne, but then he also did a ton of DC work in the early 80s. One of the books that he launched, which was a new team, all his, that focused on the Golden Age characters, and I remember this as a child growing up, was All-Star Squadron. So I found another copy of number 1. I have a few of them that I'm going to get Roy to sign at the thing, and there might even be one of them that comes up as a giveaway, an autographed Roy Thomas issue number 1 of All-Star Squadron coming up to a giveaway show in the future. But in addition to that, also found, I've been looking for the Born Again storyline from Daredevil. I have never owned it. I've always owned the graphic novel, but I've never owned the full run. So I found number 228 in a very fresh, nice newsstand. It's about a 7.5 as is, but it's definitely going to press out to at least an 8.5 because it's in really good shape. Also, I found this bad boy in a small box on the desk. Didn't think I would see it there. They gave it for 50% off. Star Slayer number 2. The first appearance of the Rocketeer. So very excited to pick this up. This was also another higher grade copy, at least a 9.0, probably a 9.2, potentially a 9.4 after a press. But this is one of I call it my stackable books. I've got a few different stackable books. Firestorm number 1 and Star Slayer number 2 are 2 of them. Those are books that are inexpensive enough that you can buy multiple copies of, and I am certain that we're going to see movement on both of those characters in the future. Also picked up from the original ongoing run a really nice minty copy of The Punisher number 23. This is a nostalgia pickup. Nothing really special about it. Just remember reading this particular issue and loving the cover and Frank Castle going up against this bald-headed guy here. Just a really cool book that I remember. Also, Swamp Thing is a big. Oh yeah, well here's another Punisher book. This one was in a back issue box that had been pulled out of back stock. Definitely not a contender by any stretch, but still a fun book to have. The Punisher Annual number 2, Moon Knight versus Punisher, their first meeting. Always a good book to have.
Yeah, that's that Atlantis Attacks crossover. That whole crossover event was a really good read.
It really was. It really was. And something about this, I've always loved this cover and this art style.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of that fevered look that Punisher had as he was fighting with Moon Knight. But yeah, that to me, that era is just.
Because that Atlantis Attacks was in like every annual that year, almost every annual that they did for Marvel.
Yeah, and that was like my peak, like adolescence when I was into comic book. Before Girls and Cars.
Right.
I was into the comic books at that point. So I also found some really nice minty copies of the Saga of Swamp Thing. I found a number 1 in the back issue, been a while back, but I also found number 2, that awesome photo cover. This one's really good shape, that brilliant green cover. But in addition to number 2, also picked up number 3. And then I found this one that just is a fun book. This is from the Alan Moore run. This is Swamp Thing number 46. Just love this cover of Swamp Thing leading Phantom Stranger, Batman, and Hawkman into battle against that dinosaur. Also found a copy of and I've been picking up a lot of these late 80s, early 90s issue number 1s. This was Hawk and Dove.
Hawk and Dove.
From June of 89. Really good shape. Also, this one was crazy. This was another one that was just chilling in a back issue bin. and it's mid-grade, but it's A Death in the Family Part 4.
We got some chat questions here, Carlos. First
Yeah,
one was Atlantis Attack only told through the annuals? No, it was actually in some regular issues too. And then Valerie has asked you about the Punisher.
Yeah, go ahead. Shoot the question about the Punisher. Is the Punisher considered modern or bronze? So bronze, the cutoff for bronze was 92, I think. Right, MT?
No.
Copper ended at 85.
That bronze is before copper, so bronze
that's right.
ran through 85, and then from 85 onward, you're into copper. Copper ended in the 90s, and everything after that is modern. I consider anything modern to be anything after 1999 myself, but I know that some people put it at 87, I believe.
Huh. I've always kind of looked at like 92 as that, but I mean, again, I don't have like.
It's when they changed the paper composition, when they went to all glossy interior pages instead of the cheap interior pages. Mm-hmm. That's what I consider the real change to modern to happen, and that happened with Avengers Forever in '99. But you know what I mean? The rougher, cream-colored interior pages versus the new modern where the cover the same type of paper throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
That's where I consider the break to be, but really? It's one of these things where.
Yeah. Hey, no, that's good. I'm glad you asked, Valerie. That's why we have Professor MT here, because he knows these types of things. I just remember that time period, because these Punisher ongoings that I was showing here, these were still that newsprint style of paper that MT was talking about. This was the Atlantis Attacks, and then this was the first it's considered volume 2, but it was the first ongoing series from Punisher. So his limited series is considered volume 1. I think you're correct as well, El Green, that the printing changed as well.
Yeah, the way it was printed in 2000. There it is. I put it in the private chat. There's your ages. Dark. They called dark age, but that's what we call copper. And they probably considered the dark age because that's when the comic book industry almost went bankrupt. It was in the 90s, so that's probably why they're calling it the dark age. But there is your ages of comics there.
There you go. Okay, very cool. All right, so 3 more, one of which is an MT favorite. So this is New Teen Titans number 26. Anybody know what this one is? Give you a hint, it is a first appearance.
No idea.
First appearance of Tara. She would be the one that would join the team and go on to have a dalliance with Deathstroke, and then she would betray the team during the Judas contract.
Why would that be one of my favorites?
No, that's not the one.
Oh, okay.
This is the one.
Oh, yes, yeah. And I'm not alone in that. That is considered to be the most popular Transformer cover ever printed.
Because I think it's the best. This Kupperberg painting is just stellar.
It is. And it hits hard. Transformers are dead. It's supposed to be a 4-issue limited series.
Right.
And,
and it kept going.
Yep.
So this one is about a 7 to 7.5, and it is a newsstand. But I saw it and I said, you know what? 50% off. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. And MT had it front of mind, and I like MT. I love that book as well. It's Volunteer Collector. It is well worth picking up. There's so many fun books in that run. Especially the much later on, the crossovers with G.I. Joe and Transformers, I always thought were funny.
Right.
Fun books to look at, especially the G.I. Joe half of it. Okay, last book from this. What's up, Sans? What is up, man? Good to see you. Nice. Thanks for stopping by. Man, so this was the last of the pickups from the 50% off sale at the LCS. So this is considered, I guess, an iconic cover. I like it, but though the musculature is wildly over embellished. It's from the ongoing series also. The Punisher, number 10, Punisher versus Daredevil yet again. So such a fun. I love it when these two go at it because they are
Street level.
yeah. The thing I've always liked about the Punisher versus Daredevil is such a moral fighter. Like they both have a code that they live by.
Sure.
The Punisher's is a soldier's code, whereas Daredevil's is like a
Lawyer's code.
yeah, it's like a lawyer's almost priestly because of his like Catholic heritage.
Sure. Yeah,
it's just such a neat juxtaposition whenever those two go at it with each other. So I just think it's so much fun. But hey, let me go ahead and keep it going. I'm going to move it right along to Mr. MT and let him show us what he's got. MT.
I picked up 6 issues last week, got another 2 issues this week. I've been lucky enough that they have all come in near mint.
Wow.
This one direct might be a VF plus, but if I press it'll probably be okay. It looks like there was a stack of books on top of it like this.
Oh,
like a crease line right there, but those will usually come out. So I got in another 50 odd Transformer comics. A lot of them were the same ones I showed last week, so I'm not going to go through those ones. There are some other ones that maybe next week I'll show you that are the very last few issues, which are kind of hard to come by. And I kind of want to make another comment about Transformers. Transformers was such a cultural phenomenon in the 80s that we diehard fans still here, 40 years old, we're still buying their stuff, right? And the Transformer comic was very well written, especially in the origins of Cybertron and a lot of the lore behind the Transformers. You know the difference between Autobots and Decepticons? You know what makes an how they were, their origins were in the beginning? Okay, so the Autobots were basically from the private sector type industrial commercial vehicles for commerce.
Really?
And all the Decepticons were military hardware. So that was the difference between the two. And that was the original inspiration between Autobots and Decepticons. So an interesting fact there. But anyways, what I want to tell you is
I think Serge is asking if you're afraid to read your comics if they look like they're in high grade.
I handle a lot of very expensive books, so I'm very confident. Confidence only comes from experience and repetition. So I tend to not like to read those. I might flip through it once. I'd be better off to buy a reader copy or a digital copy online and read that. But usually, no, I don't like if it's a 9.8 candidate because I keep a lot of hand sanitizer. If I'm going to handle a book, I don't like to use gloves. I've had too many issues with that. You need to feel the paper.
Yeah.
It's easy to catch the paper on one of the disposable gloves that you wear. So I just use hand sanitizer before I handle an expensive book, and you can flip through it, and it needs to be fully supported on a surface. Don't hold it in your hand and read it.
Yes.
You need to lay it down on a surface and flip through it that way. That's how you properly handle expensive books. So don't be afraid to read them. You bought them to read them, but I tend to just to protect yourself from making mistakes. I'll buy a reader copy or I'll buy the digital PDF version. Some of them you can get for free, so it's worth doing a Google search to see if you can read it for free online. But there is nothing like holding a comic in your hand and reading it, right? That's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So at any rate, what I was going to say about Transformers is such an iconic series, such an iconic intellectual property that it is so easy to buy the key issues. They're only like $20, $30 or less. dividing the key issues in the Transformer runs apart from the first issue, right? So this is like a real nice entry-level collector. If you're into 80s and 90s stuff, it's really a good one to try and chase a run on. It's not terribly expensive. Here's a book. I don't know if I showed this yet. I got this in maybe 2 weeks ago or whatever. Famous Monsters of Filmland was like they covered TV and movies, but this is inspiration of the very famous Robbie the Robot, who gets copied in so many iterations. He was also the inspiration for the Lost in Space robot from the TV show. I collect UFO covers. So this is a great UFO cover. And even they don't even talk about the robot in the issue, but take a look at this. Take a look at this. This is the son of Popeye. The son of Popeye right there. It says, son of Popeye. When interviewed by our associate editor, I confess I got this way by watching all of the reruns of Outer Limits. I used to love watching Outer Limits on Nick at Night back in the day. Very cool book. But there's some great covers. If you're into horror movies, stuff like this, you got to see up close and personal a lot of their special effects and robots and monsters and stuff. So it's a cool series to run. It's a very popular run. Warren magazines did it, but this is my all-time favorite Monsters in Filmland issue right there. So I just picked that up here recently. It's in a pretty high-grade copy too. The next book I have to show you is another personal favorite of mine, Paste Pot Pete in Strange Tales. Yeah, he's like one of these super goofy characters, and the thing with him is, these editors are trying to come up with new characters. So like they used to have little paste pots where they would paste things onto the page to do graphic layout. So that's where Paste Pot Pete came from. Just like the Eraser and the Living Eraser, stuff like that. They're like running low on ideas. So he's like one of these really ridiculous characters, but he would go on to become the Trapster. The Trapster 2 years later in Fantastic Four, and they were still using the Trapster in the New Avengers run in the mid-2000s. This is also when the Thing and Human Torch stories took over in Strange Tales. Previous to this, Strange Tales were different amalgamations, and it was just like Human Torch, but the Thing came in and started being in this issue. So it's a big key issue.
Hey, isn't he part of the original Thunderbolts?
The Trapster?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I think that sounds about right. You'll like this one, Michael.
Yep.
So this is Bobby Morris, who is Mockingbird.
Yes.
Is married to Hawkeye in the MCU. They also shared a book together, a very interesting, good read, Hawkeye and Mockingbird.
Yeah.
I like the Nick Fury spy books. She's basically a spy. She was played by that very attractive woman in the TV series, Adriana something.
Yeah.
They should have brought her over. So this is a really nice copy, and guess what, Michael?
What? Yeah. I bet it is. Nice.
A black Mark Jeweler. My favorite color of Mark Jeweler insert is the black ones, and I have that in the first appearance of Mockingbird.
Awesome.
In the Comic Clear. All right. I picked up another issue of the first full appearance of the Black Knight in issue number 48. This was almost out of reach last year.
Yeah.
I sold a very high grade copy for peanuts. I've been kicking myself ever since. So I'm slowly starting to get copies of it back in again, and I got another one here this week. Here's a book I'm always buying when I see it. 3D Man is a very favorite of mine. He's one of the first African American heroes, and he would go on to be a seminal member in the Skrull Kill Crew, which is one of my all-time favorite obscure Marvel teams because they were tied to. Remember when in Fantastic Four the Skrulls got turned into cows?
Yeah.
Well, these guys ate the beef that came from one of those cows and got like Skrull powers from eating the hamburgers. Totally ridiculous story. Awesome team. They ride around on big motorcycles. It's out there. It's too funny.
What's up, TM Nerdy? Quick shout out to you. If y'all aren't following TM Nerdy on Instagram and YouTube, you are missing out. He's got some of the wildest Instagram posts, and he's also got some cool videos as well on his YouTube channel.
There has been a little bit of lulls after the one-shot show on Disney Plus for Werewolf by Night. Man-Thing made his appearance in there. Man-Thing got super hot. It's starting to cool off a bit, so I'm grabbing as many of them as I can.
Yep.
I love Man-Thing. He's way better than Swamp Thing, in my opinion. He came out a month before Swamp Thing, just so you can rub that in your DC if you're a Marvel supremacist, as it were. So this is another issue of Marvel Team Up. This is the first appearance of Despair, which came out in the Marvel Legends series here not too long ago.
Nice.
This is the what I liked about the Man-Thing run is they used to change the subtitle all the time.
Yeah.
Whoever knows fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. And so these were a couple just filler issues because I got the whole run. So again, some of these aren't the highest grade, but like I said, I think you're better off buying low grade ones to help fill your run out, and then you can slowly pick away at getting higher grade copies, especially if you're going to buy them in a bulk deal, which I tend to do quite a bit. I got another issue, the infamous Twins cover.
Nice.
I've always loved this, that you can spot this from across the room. You know what it is. I love the powder blue background on this. It's just such an attractive cover. It's hard for me to walk by one and not buy one. I don't know if I showed this. I got this reason first Sabra in a very high grade newsy. She's been very popular, got a lot of traction lately. She's the first quote unquote Israeli superhero, and you can see that she is wearing a Star of David and going all out, right?
She's a mutant also.
Yes, a mutant. Yes. I don't know why I have got so many copies of this recently, but I have. This has got this. I'm still of the opinion that this is the early military stamp. I saw a lot of chat boards backing this up. I have no way to prove it yet, but this stamp means that this book was sold overseas.
Interesting. Can you hold it up closer for us? Okay. So this would have predated the Star Stamp?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
There are some 12-cent Star Stamps, but they're right at the very, very end of 12 centers before they went to 15 centers. Right. I don't know. I can't verify this is true. If anybody in the chat has any more information about these stamps, I have a bunch of books with these, not a bunch, maybe 5 or 6 with that particular type stamp on them. That is what I've heard theorized about it. It's a low grade copy. I love this Attuma Battle cover. I think, see how this has got another one? I bought a couple that all had this same stamp.
Oh, wow. So did you buy them as one lot?
Yes.
Nice.
Bought them all as one lot that all had this stamp on it. I think this is Attuma's best cover ever done of him fighting Namor the Submariner in his own series. I love this issue. If you can get this in high grade, buy it because they're really hard to get in high grade. He was, of course, in the movie, the Black Panther movie. I don't know why I bought another copy of this. I have no idea why. I have so many of these. I've always loved the Micronauts. The Microverse is a very cool concept. It's been used multiple times. It basically got co-opted for this last movie, the Ant-Man movie. Well worth the read. And Bug You know the Guardians of the Galaxy that's in the movies. The first version of that team had Bug on it. It was only in there for a couple issues. They brought him back like 2-3 years later to be on the team for I don't know a couple months, but he is one of the characters that actually endured out of the Micronauts run. I'm trying to fill out a second run of Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The classic Steranko was very much influenced by Pablo Picasso and Andy Warhol. And so he was very much in tune with what was popular in the art world. Steranko was, and brought that into comics. This is based upon a very famous piece of art from Picasso. This is a really cool issue. I don't know if I showed this before. Maybe I did it too quickly, but it's worth talking about again. This is the Beatles issue of Strange Tales. The other cool thing about this is the third appearance of Dormammu that we saw in the first Doctor Strange movie. Very important villain of Doctor Strange. The parody of the Beatles by the Human Torch of the thing is obviously pretty funny too. And the first appearance of Cornelius is in this issue. All right, I'm going to try and pick up the pace here a little bit. Always buying these. Never have too many of these. First, the motion picture. Most of us were very disappointed because most of the characters looked nothing like they did on the cartoon. But hey, it was Dolph Lundgren. And the performance by Skeletor was superb in that one. Another movie knockoff, The Blade Runner. Cool issue to have. I loved the remake, the Blade Runner 2049. I've watched that movie probably half a dozen times. So I always say about a movie, the best way you know if it's a good movie is can you watch it again? 90% of the movies I watch, I'll never see it again.
The rewatchability.
Captain Savage and the Leatherneck Raiders was of that World War II era. He's fighting Baron von Strucker in this one.
Yes.
And so I love Captain Savage. Captain Savage #1 was one of the issues I got from my dad's collection that was actually in pretty good shape. So that was near and dear to me. I am filling out another run of Captain American Falcon. This is a classic Jack Kirby cover. 202, another Kirby. Right now, because we know that Falcon is coming with his own movie here soon, so it's never a bad idea to pick stuff up well ahead of the game. This is a Mark the Jeweler. The Jeweler. Very important issue of Submariner. This retells his origin story, and this might have the first appearance of Submariner. They gave out a comic book at the movie theaters, right? And it was free to patrons. They just handed them out. It's the first time he ever appears in print, and I believe there's only 7 copies known to exist. So this might be the issue that they reprint in the back of that. This is a key for reasons I can't remember. It's the Fall of the Mutants. I know something special happens in this issue. Can't remember what it is.
I know it's the Adversary, but I don't think it's his first appearance or anything. I can't remember.
This sticker says Death of Thunderbolt Ross by McFarlane. I didn't know McFarlane did X-Men. So maybe that's on the wrong book. But this is the very famous homage battle cover from the New Avengers versus the Old Avengers. That got used in 30 different comics. They still use that lineup battle. In fact, they used that in the movie Winter Soldier when they fought on the airport.
That's right.
Here is another Mark Jeweler Red Skull cover. Love a good Red Skull cover. Here we are with another Captain Savage and the Leatherneck Raiders. This one I thought was absolutely hilarious, so I had to get it. It's Power Man versus guy in pimp suit, right? He's got the pimp suit.
What?
That's awesome.
Micronauts, yeah, he did look a lot like Darth Vader, Valerie. He absolutely did. Yeah, the cover, B2 bottom tier, the cover absolutely has to be attached. A detached cover is a no-go for me. I'd rather have a piece of the cover missing than the cover attached. I'm with you there. Yeah, I'd have to say that Winter Soldier was one of the best MCU movies that they ever did, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Batroc fight when he fought Batroc on the aircraft carrier.
Yes.
That was an awesome scene.
Yes.
This is another one of my favorite books. It says MT Press Me. So I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to press and return or not, but I think I bought this one. Red Raven. Red Raven is one of the very first Marvel superheroes ever created, and there was only like one issue made. It was considered to be the most important comic in the Chapel collection from Mile High Comics. You know, the Pedigree series of CGC. The first Red Raven was one of the seminal, most important issues that came out of the Chapel collection.
Interesting.
So his first reappearance was in Submariner and in the Silver Age here, and I believe he reappears and dies like 4 issues later. But then they brought him back again later on. This is a very famous cover of Iron Man. I believe this has a Rhodey. Right?
That's the first James Rhodes as Iron Man.
As Iron Man, right? That he wears the Iron Man armor.
Good book to have.
Yep. Here is a Wonder Man with the poster. These are another ones if you pick up. Wonder Man's coming to the MCU. I think he's got a chance of being wildly popular and starting the West Coast Avengers. Here's a Thor Mark the Jeweler. This is a Mara Droid, the android version of Captain America, and another Mark Jeweler. That's a cool issue. Then you got, I only got a couple more here and I'm done. Here's Nomad and a Mark Jeweler. What can you tell me about this one, Michael? Very first issue of something.
Todd McFarlane.
First Todd McFarlane on Incredible Hulk with Doc Samson cover. His first cover, he did 6 or 8 covers for Incredible Hulk. Did interiors on a handful more. But the Todd McFarlane Hulk covers are always super desirable.
The Todd Father.
The Todd Father. Here is one I absolutely love this cover. I love this cover. It's a good old MODOK, as our buddy likes to say, but this is a MODOK cover, and Kazar. Always love Kazar, but isn't those dinosaurs like super cool on that page? It just pops to me. I can see that across the room, and I loved it. So MODOK somehow conned dinosaurs into attacking the Hulk. So we're dying to find out what happens in this issue. This is the infamous one where Rogue steals Carol Danvers' power, and she would go on to wield the powers of Miss Marvel for decades after this. But you can see that old Carol Danvers got herself quite the tan going on in this issue. Rogue versus Miss Marvel. This is the first Goblin Queen in a Mark Jeweler. Elf Queen. Sorry, Elf Queen, not Goblin. Elf Queen. I'm definitely buying Skrull covers and Skrull keys with Secret Invasion coming up. So this was one I couldn't pass up in a Mark Jeweler. It's a really awesome cover. Reenacting what happened from the fallout of the Kree Skrull War. It happened like 150 issues before this, but you see Dane White. And see, there is the Captain Marvel that when I was reading comics as a kid was that was Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
And the issue before that was the first appearance of Nebula.
Yes.
So is she in that story at all? Because that's one I don't have.
It's been a long
time. It don't matter.
Long time since I read it. I just remember they were talking about the fallout from the Kree Skrull.
Right.
This is a very famous issue where they rehashed the
Oh yeah.
trial of Yellow Jacket, who's starting to go wacky off of the Pym particles, and they rehash where he had the domestic violence dispute back in the Silver Age.
Yeah.
He attacked Janet. So he is the thing with Hank Pym has dissociative disorder. He's got a lot of mental illnesses. He's had like 8 different character names over the course of Marvel. He was Giant Man. He was Power Man. He was Ant Man. He was Yellow Jacket. He was a version of the Wasp. I think there's 1 or 2 that I'm missing in there. I know it's like 6 or more, but at any rate, those are some of the key ones. And I don't want to end on a domestic violence book, so let me find one more to show you, and then we'll move along. I showed these real quick. You can find these in back bins. This is my introduction to Alex Ross. Was this Dynamite series where he was redoing Golden Age Heroes. Absolutely love these covers. I think this is Alex Ross at his very best, going through the old Golden Age Heroes.
Yeah.
And, this was a really cool set. The Devil, the Death-Defying Devil, was like the main character in this story arc. That one was for Paul, but at any rate, he's got a signing coming up, Alex Ross, so it's good to pick up his key issues. And in fact, let me show you this so you don't miss it if you're ever in an LCS and happen to come across it. This is Alex Ross's first published artwork. It's an extremely affordable key book.
Very affordable.
Very affordable key book. Terminator, The Burning Earth, first Alex Ross to published artwork. So that's
Let me show you something.
out for.
We've got something here.
Yeah, star stamps were only sold on military bases, where you can get a Mark Jeweler that was sold around a military base at drugstores and grocery stores, but the star stamps indicated it was sold at a PX or a CSO vendor. LG stars were only sold on yes. Cool looking character, purple and yellow guy in Avengers. Purple and yellow guy in Avengers. Must have missed that.
So one of the coolest things about the let me see.
Purple, yellow.
Yeah, I love those does MTD recognize this one?
How come not all Mark Jewelers have a star stamp? Well, El Green, I was just kind of saying that they gave Mark Jewelers to the stuff surrounding the military base. That's why they all don't have stamps on them. And a lot of them went unsold. So if it didn't get sold on the base, they were allowed to return them back to the distributor, so they would never have a stamp. So that's also another possibility.
Well, I also have a thought about that because there was a store that I went to, and they would have a box with what they, and I don't even know if it's true or not, because they don't ship immediately. So they put a box and they fill it up with what didn't get sold for the whole month, and they waited till the end of the month to ship it back.
Ooh.
So at that time, if you were a comic store owner around there and you didn't have enough inventory or you sold out of a certain issue, you would go to the nearest grocery store and buy whatever they had at a discount or whatever. And I believe that's how a lot of the Mark Jewelers got floated into the comic stores.
Interesting. Well, that's a good fact there. Raph says the fact that Transformers were first under the Microman Micronauts line in Japan. Blaster and Perceptor were essentially Micronauts. I did not know that. I did know that they were called Microman. I didn't think they were called Micronauts. I thought they were Microman robots, but that's good to know. Didn't know that. Thanks, Raph.
Very cool.
And also, like, if you were a comic book store owner and say like Spider-Man 300 came out and you sold out and you knew you needed some more, you would go to JBL bookstore and buy whatever they had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of your newsstands were coming into the comic book stores. Because I would see them at the stores regularly. I don't know if that was a practice everywhere else, but that's something that I had seen. All right, so I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, you're up.
MT, where'd you go?
He stepped
And
away.
Pierce, because I did the same thing that Carlos did, and I got a large stack. So I got Transformers
Nice.
Universe #1 in newsstand. #2.
Nice.
#3 with the black suit Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Number 6 in newsstand. And #9. Another #9 in newsstand. #10 in newsstand. 10 in direct. And another 10 in direct. #11 newsstand. First Jetfire, isn't it? First Jetfire, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is the first Devastator, isn't it?
Yes.
I still have
Yes.
to go through. I still haven't gone through them all. #12
Oh yeah, that's a cool one.
in newsstand, and then the MT cover #13 that he kept talking about. So I went ahead and got 2 of them, and of course the one that he had with Bruce Springsteen, #16 in newsstand. 19 with Omega Supreme. #20, and the greatest cover of all, 22 in newsstand. 26 in newsstand. 27 in newsstand. 28 in the newsstand. 52 in the newsstand. Hoist, there you go. 48 in newsstand. 45 in newsstand. First Mechanic, yes. 44 in newsstand. I guess I didn't put them in order because here's 35 in the newsstand. 34 in newsstand. 32 in the newsstand. We got a 29 in newsstand. And then I went ahead and I got Incredible Hulk 258 in a newsstand. The first team of the Soviet super soldiers. Great Frank Miller cover.
Very cool.
And I went ahead and I've also found Spider-Man 88, the first appearance of Queen Goblin, and I also got the variant.
Oh wow.
And then for the Comic-Con that's coming up, the Pop Culture Power Show, I got some Roy Thomas books for y'all. #3, the Whitman variant. #5, Whitman variant. And another #5, but this is a newsstand. A #7 in Whitman variant. #8, Whitman variant.
The first Jax.
#9, yes. And if you didn't know, Roy Thomas wrote the first 11 issues of Star Wars. And for the Mark Jewelers, which I'm hoping y'all will be very surprised, maybe shocked, maybe in awe, but not all at the same time. Avengers, $265. The blue and gray Mark Jewelers. I love this cover, and I don't know what it is about it. But this is a real high grade. It's an aqua colored Mark Jewelers. And the great Mark Silvestri on X-Men. It's a royal blue Mark Jewelers. Fighting the Brood. Paul's favorite, John Romita Jr. on Iron Man, part of the Armor Wars, in a lavender Mark Jewelers, a great, beautiful lavender Mark Jewelers. MT's favorite boy, Thor, number 285, in the aqua and lavender Mark Jewelers, and surprisingly, or shockingly, written by Roy Thomas. So this might be one that'll be signed. And everybody's favorite, and everybody that wishes that they could, and I know y'all wish y'all could, Transformers, number 49, in a ruby red Mark Jewelers. And not to be outdone, but here's a number 52 in another ruby Mark Jewelers, Transformers. But I also got Captain America. These are all Mark Jewelers now. I'm getting into the all Mark Jewelers. Purple Mark Jewelers. Captain America 258, another purple Mark Jewelers.
Now, wait, is that the first appearance of Crossbone?
This is the first cameo appearance of Crossbones.
Okay.
In a purple Mark Jewelers.
Wow, there you go.
But not to be outdone, here is the first appearance of Crossbones.
There you go.
Purple Mark Jewelers. And also, I sold 2 of these. Now I got one back. Here is a third one, the Black Knight cover, and it is a gray with blue Mark Jewelers. Then here comes Solo Avengers. This
the
one,
Hawkeye Black Widow run. Yep.
Yeah, this is number 7 in a ruby Mark Jewelers. I know, Jacko, if you're listening, I know you are.
Likes the rubies. Yep.
Yep. Here comes the purple Mark Jewelers. In another Solo Avengers. This one's purple and it's got Hellcat. Here's Solo Avengers number 10, purple Mark Jewelers with Dr. Druid. And aqua Mark Jewelers, and it's the first appearance of Bobcat. And this one is a Bob Layton comic. Then I got number 13 and 14. Both of them black Mark Jewelers. Start with 13. There's your Wonder Man. And 14 with a great cover, but it's also a She-Hulk versus Titania story. Might be their second time fighting.
Really like that cover.
This actually takes place in Jennifer Walters when she's holding court. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the TV show, but I saw that it was all courtroom drama.
There you go.
2 more. This one's the black, and the number 15. The Black Widow, Wasp, Hawkeye. This one is a red Mark Jewelers. An emerald green Mark Jewelers in Solo Avengers number 18. Ruby Red Mark Jewelers. Avengers Spotlight, number 25, with a gray, Mark Jewelers. And this one is gray with a star stamp. Avengers Spotlight, number 26. There's the star stamp right there. And my last two for tonight, which I'm not done. I still got some slabs, but we'll have to wait till next week. Avengers Spotlight number 27 and 28. Brown Mark Jewelers. Jackal, if you're listening, these are brown.
Mark Jewelers burned to the ground. Apparently got taken over by a meth lab and burned to the ground. There is no Mark Jewelers anymore.
What?
Yep.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Jeez.
And that concludes my round because I have more, but not enough time. Yes, cliffhanger. Mike Bravo's right. Cliffhanger.
I got two more that I forgot to show that I do want. I think are probably
I'm
worth.
coming back to you, MT, and then I'm going to finish it out with some stuff I've got to show off. Are you ready, MT?
Yeah, I am. Probably worth the 2 minutes to show this.
Yeah. Nice.
Number one,
candidate book.
God, dog.
Nice.
Candidate book. Really was able to get this at a reasonable price. It is the direct, but it came better than I thought it was going to be. I shouldn't say that it's a candidate. I think it's a 9.4. It does have a bad cut corner from the printers. A lot of this issue number 1 suffered from this. It has like a dull blade, so when they cut the corners, it kind of. This particular issue number 1, this is a very, very common defect with this book. There's a lot of them out there that have it. The other one that I wanted to show was, and to circle back to Transformers.
Are you gonna get it signed and slab?
Maybe that is definitely one that's high on the list. I think it's probably only going to hit a 9.4. Conservatively, might get a 9.6. I don't know. It's hard to say. At any rate, this is issue 77. It only went through issue 80. If you can find Transformers starting at issue number 71 through 80, all of those are very, very scarce issues. They're usually $10 to $30 a piece in value or higher. I think the final issue might be a $50 book.
Yeah.
So if you're in the back bins and you see Transformers, always go to the back first and see if you can pick up anything higher than issue 71. Now, issue 70 is that famous one where the two faces are melted together with Ratchet and somebody else. I always love that cover myself. But at any rate, the other one I'm trying to collect, we showed this before, but this wasn't an issue I had at the time. Transformers Universe is the character books where they give character bios. These are very expensive books. I've been trying to buy these, and a set of 4 of these are going to cost you $60, $70 for 4 issues. So if you can find these, they were all wraparound covers. These are ones you want to pick up in the back bins if you can find them. They're very expensive to buy. And then also you can learn about all the names because there was a lot of Transformer characters, a lot of them, right? And they've got the combiners and everything in these. From G1, there's Fortress Maximus, it looks like, and Menasor. At any rate, I just kind of wanted to get, or Metroplex. I'm sorry, Metroplex. Paul will take my comic card and my Transformer card if I get that correct. Omega Supreme is in this one. Great character. But at any rate, I wanted to show those.
Those are great books. I love those. I love those reference books.
I love the reference books, and these are particularly, they weren't printed in high numbers. They're usually very hard to find, and in high grade, they go for pretty high dollar amounts.
I don't insure.
Okay,
So,
let me tell you about insurance because this is something I looked in
yeah.
big time. Your homeowners or your renter insurance will not cover your comic
Yes.
book collection.
Yes.
All right. You can pull a policy for your general collectibles, but it is extremely hard to collect on those. What they wanted me to do to insure my comics is I had to have scans of front and back of each comic and value each comic in my collection. Okay. I've got 14,000 comic books. That's more than that. I'm sorry. More than that. I think I'm just under 20,000 now, but
Yeah.
it's too much time. I'll never be able to do it.
Yeah.
They change
No, it's
too
not.
much, in and out too much, and it's like such an enormous amount of labor to get an insurance policy on your comic books. You can pull a basic policy out. You cannot add it to your homeowners or your renters. It's a very important thing to know.
Yeah.
So if your house burns down, you are SOL.
Yep.
So I put my books, my big books, are in a fireproof safe.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's tough. You got to scan
Yeah.
each one.
Yeah. So, hey, I'll speak to that also. So the deal with insurance policies is your standard renters or homeowners insurance policy will not cover collectibles. If you ever did get them to pay it out, they would only want to do cover price or a percentage thereof. That's one horror story I heard. I have not had that experience with them. There are specialized companies that provide collectibles insurance. Now, if you're a collector at the level of MT, you're going to run into the same problem. If you're have got a smaller collection, like 1,000 or under books, maybe it's worth it depending on the value of the books. But like MT said, the best thing you can do to protect your collection is physically protecting the books. If you cannot afford a vault or a safe on site, another thing you can do is a post office or bank, or a safety deposit box at a bank is a place that you can hold a few books depending on the cost of the box versus the number of books you need to put in there. And I think they will insure it for whatever dollar value you assign to it. So I know some people that have big books that use that as well. But the safe, I think, is if you have books that are worth tens of thousands of dollars, it makes sense to have a fireproof and waterproof safe in the home that's bolted down. But then you also don't want to be putting that out there in the world to let people know that you have that. So,
well, Teresa Newell's asking a very interesting question, and I'd like to address that if I could.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's asking, are the G2 comic books worth picking up? I did happen to pick some of these up here recently. Now, what Generation 2 is most famous for is establishing that what came before it would forever be known as G1. That's like their biggest claim to fame. It was not a terribly successful enterprise in comics, but even more so, the toys never sold. There was a really cool new iteration. This is the final issue of G2 here. So it only ran for 12 issues, so not terribly popular. Like the first run ran for 80 issues. But I really liked the new version of the Dinobots. I kind of thought that was about the only thing worthwhile that came out of G2. But, everything's worth picking up. It's worth having. They're probably not going to have a ton of resale value, but I think they're certainly worth having. There's not a lot of them to get. It's only 12 issues, so it's a pretty easy run to complete.
Well, even then, like with me, Transformers and G.I. Joe, I remember they went down to, they were worth like $1 each.
You can probably get this in $1 bin, right? It's probably real easy to get all 12 issues.
Well, what I'm saying is it was back then the price of the comic dropped so far down that they were worth $1. They weren't even worth the cover price that I paid for. And now 25 years, 30 years later, look at them. $15 books, $20 books, $30 books now.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to address a couple of questions that have popped up in the chat. Okay, so Teresa Newell asks, what would you classify as a big book? To me, a big book is a book that by itself is worth $3,000 or more. I think a lot of people would also say a big book is 1,000 or more for the single issue itself. I would say 1,000 raw, 3,000 or more graded. Those are big books. I know prices fluctuate. Insurance, it's all about risk and your personal assessment of risk and how risk averse you are or are not when it comes to the dollar amount that you want to insure. And then Serge Henderson says, I was on my way to work one night with my Sugar Box comics, $10,000 worth of comics, and I ran into a pole into a ditch. I highly suggest there are custom Pelican or Pelican-like cases that are made with foam, cutout foam to be able to handle and carry slabs and raw books. And I do suggest if you're, for any reason, going to travel with your comic books, like if you had a reason to travel with your high dollar books for, then you need to go ahead and spend the $300 or $400 on the Pelican case to carry them in that, to travel them with that. Even if you're just driving them around in a car, I wouldn't do that. That's just me. I wouldn't be driving them around in a car because I'd be too worried about what might happen.
Well, sometimes you got to transport them though, and I get that. I just want to make sure that people know that if you're going to collect on an insurance claim, you have to have photos of the book.
Yes.
You will not be able to collect on any insurance claim if you don't have photo evidence of what the book was, and that includes shipping insurance. If you're insuring things to be shipped, you have to have a photo of everything that's in that. I just went through one of these recently. It's a pain. They try and wear you down so you give up. You have to be persistent. You have to keep communicating. It'll probably take 10, 12 emails to get it done, but it can't be done. So make sure that you do that. And I'm a little bit different opinion upon what a big book is. Scarcity for me is a big thing. If you have a $200 or $300 raw book graded, it's probably going to be $1,500, $2,000 graded. There's not a ton of thousands of dollars worth of books that we collect in the silver and bronze and copper age. There's not a ton that are in the thousands of dollars for raw books. So, golden age, there certainly is. So your average collector, their high-end books are probably going to be around $500 max.
Yeah.
For your most common collector. I only own a handful, maybe a dozen books I would consider to be worth over $1,000 raw. The vast majority of them are right around $400 or $500 raw. So I chasing books for investment. If you're going to do that and you got a couple big books, invest in a fireproof safe or get those ones insured. If you don't want to have to scan 20,000 copies, but you've got 4 or 5 books that are worth a couple $1,000s, maybe just get those ones insured. But it's
that's a good point, because that strategically that makes a lot of sense to just insure the biggest books, because really, it's going to be 20% or less of your total collection. It's going to be, that's going to be carrying about 80% of the value.
Right. And the other thing is if you register on Comic Books Price Guide, I have a database of my books. I don't keep up with them very well, but you can enter in the codes on your CGC books, and that will work for the insurance company too, because you have a record where you can upload photos of the covers.
That's a good idea.
And you can upload it. It's on a database in the cloud. It will always be there. It's tied to a price guide. It's a very efficient way to get insurance claims and coverage on your slabs especially, but even your raw books, you can upload the cover images and have it somewhere. It's also a price guide and gives you a lot of other benefits that go along with it. But
real quick, so Teresa Newell, I want to answer this. Teresa Newell is asking, how many does a Pelican case hold? It depends on the size that you get. There are collectibles case makers who they make them for cards, they make them for pops, they make them for comics, both graded and raw. I don't remember the name of it, but the name of the company, but they do make them. And I do think that if you have to travel with your bigger books, it's worth it. The other tip, if you're going to travel your expensive raw books, always use bags and boards inside of top loaders, and then make sure you stack them accordingly.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to is top loaders. That's another good layer of protection for sure.
Yeah, and but remember, there's flex in the middle of a top loader, but if you've got your Mylar and a really good strong board in there, it's going to protect the book. I even, like, for some higher dollar books I've sold, I've even shipped them in top loaders, like inside of the Gemini, just to add that extra layer of, and I mean, top loaders, well, they're a lot more expensive than they were now, but I have their long box full of top loaders that I'll use. So just a couple of hints. Feel free to hit up MT or myself or even Michael on Instagram. If you have additional questions, we're always willing to shoot out answers and opinions and thoughts. Somebody was asking earlier, I think Serge was also asking about reading high dollar books. I know that these mats, I like to have these on the desk here to read on, and like MT pointed out, when you read, lay it on a flat surface, and I always lay them on this mat on this desk when I'm going to read them. I don't like take them downstairs. I don't take them anywhere other than their like section of the house that is devoted to the comics.
Well, tell them what that is. Tell them what that is. I think that's an important thing to show them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's
a non-slip cutting mat is what this is. I use this for all my comic book cleaning and restoration and work. It's a non-slip mat. That's a great reading surface. I'd never even thought about that. They're what, 20, 30 bucks maybe at most, Carlos?
This is a fairly small one, and this one was only about 16 bucks, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so on Amazon you can find them. The brand is Vantage, and this one, the one that I have, is an 18 by 12, and that's more than big enough for a regular size comic book of any age. Treasury editions are going to be a different thing, but the thing I like about this is there's not as big a chance of me dinging a corner or crunching a corner on the hard surface, because it's hard, but it's a little bit, there's more and it's a little bit softer to read on. So like I push the keyboard back and I just read on this surface when I'm going to read the books, especially the older higher dollar ones. So, and MT had a really good take on the dollar value of books. The other big thing is, remember, all of us value books differently. My most valuable book in my collection is not my highest dollar book.
Right.
My most valued book, you probably can all guess, is the first authorized appearance of Zorro in comic books. Dell 4-Color Limited, Series 2, number 228. And that's my most prized book, but it's absolutely not like the Giant Size X-Men, the Ultimate Fallout 4. A bunch of other books are higher value, higher dollar value, but if there was a house fire, I'm grabbing the Zorro books. Okay, so let me run through these real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. So these are just some more books that I picked up from Comics for Cheap on Instagram. He's at Comics for Cheap, comics with an X, for cheap. So I got Doom Patrol from October of '87, number 1. Robin 2, number 4, with that nice hollow cover on it. I've been picking up Robin 2 because I don't have the full run, surprisingly, and I am a Tim Drake Robin fan. The Punisher Armory, number 5. This is a series that I recommended in my top 10 Punisher video that you can pick up, and it's pretty fun book, pretty fun series to read. It's all about it's basically the G.I. Joe Order of Battle or Transformers case files, but it's all his guns and his weaponry. So Firestorm, or the Fury of Firestorm, number 11. Pick that one up. Green Lantern Mosaic, number 1. Anything with John Stewart, I'm snagging, especially if it's a low price. This was a really cool Blue Beetle book that I did not have already in my collection. It's Justice League Generation Lost, number 17, but it's a Blue Beetle logo character variant that I'd never seen before by Aaron Lopresti. So pick that one up. Deathlock, y'all know I'm a Deathlock fan, and this was a 90s. This is Marvel Impact
God, dog.
Deathlock #1 here. And then Hawkman Special #1 from 1986. Really fun book. I enjoy Hawkman. I think he's a really cool, underutilized character. And there's been some really neat stuff done with him, including the rebirth of Hawkman done by Jeff Johns back in the 2000s. Fury of Firestorm #12. Fury of Firestorm #13. Then this is a fun pickup that I got. Speaking of the Punisher ongoing series, found Punisher #5. Punisher #4, the first appearance of Microchip, another copy. I've got like 5 of them now. Punisher #3 and Punisher #2 to fill out the beginning of that run. My son, I actually gave him issue #1 of that Punisher run. This has been one of my favorite covers. It's a nostalgia pickup. From Classic X-Men #40. This is Classic X-Men #44, but this is not Art Adams. Art Adams also another one that's coming here to Houston for a Houston convention. Looking forward to that as well. The Punisher #29. I love the Acts of Vengeance storyline, and this was one that I really remembered. That was just really cool. I enjoyed that storyline. Then
Got the Twin Towers in the background, doesn't it?
The what?
That's the Twin Towers book.
Oh yeah. Yep. There they are.
There's a lot of people collect those.
Yeah, that's become a thing now too. I remember. Punisher #33.
Yeah, Becky bought mine.
Punisher #34. And then back to Classic X-Men #46. Which the Classic X-Men series is a very inexpensive series with amazing original content, including covers and backup stories and pinups that you can't find anywhere else. Really undervalued series. Mike Mignola did a series of covers. This is X-Men Classic #70 with featuring a Mignola cover on it.
The creator of Hellboy.
Yes, the creator of Hellboy. And then X-Men Classic #71. This is the same series. But also, remember, all these Classic X-Men and X-Men Classic series were from
Silver Age.
were the reprints of the Silver and Bronze Age material that had been done by Chris Claremont. It's interesting. I had one of my Classic X-Men books signed by Chris Claremont, my favorite story, and he didn't recognize it at first. He flipped it open and he said, "What is this? Where'd you get this?" And I said, "Oh no, it's a reprint of your original one." And I also had him sign the original, and he got real excited. Some new books, just real quick. Moon Knight #20 is still a title worth picking up. Let's see, Shazam: Fury of the Gods #1. The photo cover, in case I get a chance to get this cast to sign it. Found, I think I might have shown these last week, but I don't remember. I just need to put them out. Batman Superman #12, Michael Turner Supergirl from Darkseid. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World #4. Highly recommend this independent title. To Meet Cute at the End of the World. Darkwing Duck #2, the David Nakayama cover, and for cover price as well, the incentive. One of the ratio incentives, the icon cover right there. And then last but certainly not least, Blue Beetle Graduation Day #4, introducing a bunch of new Beetle characters. All right, so that has been... Oh, yeah, and hey, if you're going to your LCS for free, you can pick up copies of Den of Geek. Fun magazine to get into. I miss magazines. Let's go through a couple more shout outs here. Let's see. General Jedi says, travel with slabs multiple times overseas. Pelican cases for camera gear with cuttable inserts works great. That's true.
Yeah, my brother uses those.
Yep. Let's see. Bottom tier collector says big books to me separates into 3 categories: value, story impact, and rarity. True. Very true. Rafael Jimenez says G.I. Joe Order of Battle number 2, Rocky Balboa, first and only appearance in comic books.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
that?
I do remember that. He's right.
Yeah. Louis V. Generally, people use them to transport production gear, still and motion video. We use them for those, but yeah, I mean, they're targets, but hopefully you keep them on you and you don't let them loose.
Carry-ons. Yep.
Yeah, I tend to make comics and camera gear my carry-on. Insurance is a must for regular travelers, though. True. Teresa Newell says, I've actually got a cool Twin Towers Marvel book. Neat.
Wow.
We need to have Teresa on here sometime. Look at Carl's buying what he recommends. Well, you know it. That's why I recommend it. Let's see. Is there anyone at this con going to be able to sign in a Booster Gold? I don't think so. I don't think. Yeah, Dan Jurgens is the big person for Booster Gold, for the original Booster Gold run. Dan Jurgens is a big guy to get with that, but he's not going to be at this one. So yeah. I'm still El Green. I'm still waiting on issues 2, 3, and 4 for your giveaway from Weapon X. I haven't met up with him yet. He's disappeared into the ether. So, all right. Hey, so thank you all so much for joining us for tonight. We are coming in right at the 90-minute mark. I appreciate Michael and MT both helping out with this and continue to do that. Big thanks to a couple of AOKs that got sent this way. This is from the unforgettable Paul Comics, Scarlet from G.I. Joe. Paul gave this to me. Big shout out to him. Also, really cool. I did not even know this existed, but I'm excited that she was kind enough to send it. This AOK is from Teresa Newell. This is the Blue Beetle Dia de los Muertos variant here. I don't know if y'all can see it with all the reflections going on.
Yeah.
He's got the neon glow in the dark thing, and he was issue number 410, and there was a total of 6 of them. And yeah, this was super cool. So very big thank you to Teresa Newell. These 2 are going back here behind me on the shelf. Thank you all for doing that. All right. So, hey, thank you everybody for being here tonight. I'm going to let MT, I'm going to bring Michael and MT back on to say good night. Look, Michael's got boxes upon box. Oh my gosh.
It's got to be his slab of Jabba's.
5 more slabs, and I got another box coming this week.
Oh my gosh. All right. Hey, thank you all so much for being with us tonight. It's always a pleasure. Make sure that if you are in the greater Houston area or considering traveling and would like a pass to Pop Culture Power Show to meet industry legends like Roy Thomas, Andrew Wildman, and the unforgettable Larry Hama, you can get a discount using the discount code Carlos Collects Comics at pwrshows.com. That's powershows.com. You get 10% off your pass, plus you will also get a special gift from me. The only other way to get this gift is to buy it, or to be a premium channel member, because remember, we're going to be rolling that out coming up soon here, and that will be another way that you can get some of the cool merch that's rolling out. Biggest hint I can give you, it is not a sticker. All right. Thank you all for being here. We much appreciate it. We will see you next time. Be here Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Central for another episode of the giveaway show to see what kind of hijinks Paul and the crew get into then. We will see y'all later. Take care. Good night, everybody.